On her birthday, I discovered an incredible truth. My daughter's wish exposed my hidden love, trapped deep inside me. Jake wiped his oily hands on a rag, blinking against the sunlight streaming through the garage door. Today was Emily's 10th birthday, and he was determined to make it special. As he laid out the small, boxed cake atop the cluttered workbench, the little candles flickering like hopes rekindled, he felt the heaviness of unfulfilled dreams pressing down on him. It was a bittersweet reminder of the life he once had, laughter and colors drowning in the mundane gray of his daily grind. As a mechanic, Emily burst in, her eyes sparkling like the sun illuminating a freshly painted mural. "Daddy," she squealed, tossing her arms around him, her excitement vibrant as newly sprouted blooms. Her wide grin, crowned by her unruly brown hair, squeezed warmth from his tightly wound heart. She pulled back, holding a handmade card, the words "I love you" beautifully scrawled inside with drawings of stars and hearts. "Make a wish, Daddy," she chirped. As he closed his eyes, something inside him fluttered, twinges of dreams long buried. He remembered the last time he held a paintbrush, colors dancing on blank canvases, a world where pain didn't anchor him down. "Can you paint again, Daddy? Please?" she asked, her voice weaving through his memories. Her innocent request hurt like a knife. Memories of his late wife floated in his mind. She had been the artist, the dreamer, the one whose vibrant spirit filled their home with warmth. He had stopped toning his colors when he lost her, choosing instead the grind of grease and metal, burying grief beneath layers of sorrow and survival. As he looked at Emily, his heart twisted. "Maybe," he murmured, the word escaping like a hesitant puff of air. The town's upcoming art fair jetted into his thoughts, an opportunity springing like a wildflower. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days turned into nights filled with battling canvases, each stroke igniting long-dormant emotions. Guilt clawed at him as he painted, open wounds purging unhealed grief onto the canvas. Shadows danced around him, whispering voices from neighbors questioning why a mechanic thought he could be an artist. The town's biases seeped into his mind like poison, making him question his own ability. When the day of the fair dawned, Emily beamed, her pride illuminating everything around her. Jake felt the weight of eyes on him, some curious, others judgmental. He watched her place his painting, a reflection of their fractured yet beautiful life together, on display. Whispers floated through the crowd like smoke, admiration mingled with skepticism. Jake's heart raced as he caught a smile creeping on his daughter's face, but self-doubt clawed at his throat. Would he crumble? Or would he finally face the shadows? As he glanced at Emily, the flickering flame of her belief ignited a fire he thought long extinguished. Could he step into the light, risking everything for the chance to connect, to create? Perhaps today, he'd find the courage to transform his pain into something beautiful, something that reminded him he was still an artist and a father. The moment hung like a breath held in anticipation, waiting for that leap of faith that could change everything. As Jake stood there, anxiety twisted like a knot in his stomach. The air buzzed with anticipation, and he could see the crowd slowly gathering, their chatter growing louder with each passing moment. He glanced down at Emily, her little hands fidgeting as she glanced between him and the painting, a patchwork of colors that mirrored their shared grief and fleeting brightness. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, a voice surged forward from the crowd. "Look at that! Who would have thought a grease monkey could squeeze out something like that?" Laughter rippled through the spectators, but it felt like ice shattering inside Jake. His heart sank deeper, each laugh like a weight added to his chest. "What are you doing, Daddy?" Emily whispered, concern creasing her brow as she registered the collective judgment surrounding them. She didn't understand the harsh words that twisted like thorns, but what she did understand was his silence, a silent acknowledgement of defeat. I don't know," he breathed, the bitterness threatening to swallow him whole. Then, almost instinctively, he knelt down to her level, seeing the world through her hopeful eyes. Hey, he said softly, your smile's brighter than the sun, you know that? If you believe in me, I should believe in me too, right? Emily nodded vigorously, her wide eyes shining with the kind of faith that belonged to childhood, untainted and pure. It was as if she carried a light that could pierce through the fog of his self-doubt. With her unwavering gaze locked on his, something shifted inside Jake. He felt a flicker of resolve sparking against the weight of his insecurities. Wasn't this what he had wanted all along, to share not just their losses but their journeys forward? Today, he had to honor that. He took a deep breath, standing tall, forcing the whispers back to the corners of his mind. The painting was a fragment of his heart, an echo of love and loss, a bridge not just to the past but toward a hopeful possibility. He stepped closer to the canvas, the colors tempting him to embrace the challenge. If not for himself, then for her. Everyone, he called, his voice steadying, this painting isn't just about the colors. He swirled his hand toward the view. It's about the story behind them. The laughter mingled with tears, the dreams that try to claw their way back to life. This isn't just for me, it's for my daughter too. He could see the stir in the crowd, skepticism wavering like a breeze. Some leaned in closer, intrigue dancing across their features. There were still whispers, those wouldn't ever truly vanish, but he focused on Emily and how her unwavering trust seemed to shield him. Then it hit him, art didn't just need to please. It required vulnerability, raw emotions laid bare, and he could feel the weight lifting. This is Emily's wish, he argued, looking out at them, steady and true. This is me reclaiming who I am, and I won't let judgment hold me back anymore. As he spoke, a small but strong swell of applause began to ripple through the crowd. Emily clapped her hands, jumping up and down with joy. The flicker of hope ignited by his words spread like a wildfire, encouragement blooming in a place he thought barren. As Jake soaked in the warmth of that moment, everything shifted inside him. It wasn't about approval, it was about love, but just as he felt the air fill with possibility and acceptance, a figure emerged at the edge of the throng, a familiar face he hadn't seen in years, stirring memories both cherished and haunting. The figure hesitated, searching the crowd before locking eyes with him. Jake. His heart thrummed violently, and in that moment, the path ahead seemed both exhilarating and terrifying. Would this person reaffirm his journey or reopen old wounds? As the crowd looked on, he dared to hope. Faced with the specter of his past, Jake felt the pulsating question arise. Was he ready to embrace both sides of the canvas life painted for him? An electric silence followed the voice calling his name. Jake squinted into the crowd, searching for confirmation that he was not imagining things. There she stood, Samantha. The ache of nostalgia hit him hard, bringing back memories that felt both comforting and painful. He hadn't seen her since the accident that had shattered their family. Her look had changed, but her eyes remained the same, searching, hopeful, and bewildered. Jake, she repeated, stepping forward, her gaze not breaking from his. The crowd buzzed in the background, their curiosity piqued by the unexpected drama unfolding before them. Emily instinctively grasped Jake's hand tighter, her small fingers wrapping around his. Mommy? Emily whispered, glancing between Jake and Samantha, uncertainty spilling from her eyes. Jake felt a surge of protectiveness wash over him. He wanted to shield his daughter from the storm rising inside him. Samantha. The name slipped out cautiously, filled with a mix of yearning and fear. What are you doing here? I wanted to see Emily. Her voice trembled, as if every word carried the weight of their past. Jake's heart raced. Memories flooded back, the laughter, the dreams, the loss. But there was also the memory of that dreadful day when everything fell apart, when their lives spiraled into chaos. He had spent so long repairing the pieces, building a new life for Emily, a life without her mother. She's been asking about you, Jake replied, the gravity of his resolve beginning to crack as his voice softened. I told her you were busy. Busy. The words sounded hollow coming out of Samantha's mouth, floating in the air like a fragile balloon. I was lost. I was lost, Jake, and I'm still trying to find my way back. The crowd had become a mere backdrop, a muted audience captured in this intimate moment. There was a hum of intrigue around them, but Jake felt alone with the turmoil brewing beneath his surface. "Emily, why don't you go look at the painting again?" he suggested gently, eager to buy time to collect himself. Reluctantly, she let go of his hand and scampered back to the canvas, her excitement now mingled with confusion. Samantha Jake took a breath, trying to hold on to the anger and hurt that threatened to overflow. "You can't just come back after all this time. You broke us." "I know." She looked down, a tear escaping, but quickly brushed it away. "But I didn't want to. Ever since I've thought about you, about both of you. I didn't know how to face you." The confession hung heavy in the air. Jake felt a flicker of softness rise within him, a need to understand her pain and what drove her to return now. "What do you want, Sam?" "I want a chance to show you I've changed. I want to rebuild. I want Emily to know her mother." Despite the warmth flickering in his chest, a wave of uncertainty crashed over him. He turned his gaze towards Emily, who clutched the edges of the canvas, her head tilted with curiosity. And just then, Jake realized that the choice wasn't just his, it was Emily's, too. The thought made him tremble. Did he have the right to open that door again? Samantha reached out, her voice barely a whisper. "Can I trust you again? Can you fight for us?" The question lingered over them like a veil, fragile and shimmering. In that moment, pain mixed with hope, and for the first time in a long while, Jake felt the urge to believe again. But was he ready to unravel the past and allow the light of possibility back in? As the crowd held its breath, the tension thickened like the paint on his canvas. Jake faced the truth sometimes. The most profound art is created in the shades of vulnerability, and he had a choice to make. "Let us talk," he finally said, gripping the edges of the moment, knowing full well the complex journey ahead. Would it heal them or tear them apart once more? Jake took a deep breath, steeling himself against the whirlwind of conflicting emotions swirling within him. He felt Samantha's gaze on him, heavy with the hopes of a past he had almost forgotten. He also felt Emily moving behind him, still fascinated by the painting, blissfully unaware of the life-altering moment unfolding just a few feet away. "Can we find somewhere to talk?" He gestured to a quieter corner, away from curious eyes. The gallery, despite its lively array of colors, felt stifling now, almost claustrophobic. As they stepped away, Jake's heart raced with each footfall. He glanced back at Emily, still captivated by the artwork, and let a shard of hope flicker inside him. Could they really rebuild what was lost? Samantha motioned for him to sit at a small cafe table tucked in a corner, a little haven amidst the chaos. "I didn't know you were back in town," Jake began, his voice laced with tension. "I wasn't sure I'd stay after everything," Samantha replied, her hands trembling slightly as they rested on the table. "I just needed to see you, to see if there was a chance, any chance." "Chance?" Jake's voice rose, filled with disbelief. "You think it's that easy? Just a chance to pretend everything is okay? You left us, Sam. You vanished." "I know. I know." Tears began to well up in her eyes, reflecting the weight of years lost. "But I'm back. I want to try this time, for real. I can't change the past, but I can change how things go from here." Jake felt his defenses waver. Her words tangled with the memories of that fateful night, the unanswered calls, the silence that filled their home like a dark fog. "Do you understand what you're asking? It's not just me. It's Emily. She gets excited. She deserves more than the confusion you bring. She deserves a mother," Samantha shot back, her voice sudden and fierce, but the softness returned immediately. "I want to make it right. She is everything I dreamed of. I've been so lost without you both." "Talk is cheap," Jake whispered, feeling the tears threaten to spill from his own eyes. "You can't just waltz back in and think we'll pick up where we left off. I had to heal. I built a new life without me," Samantha interrupted, her voice breaking, "but I've been here, Jake. Always in the shadows, hurting for things I can't change. I'm just asking for the chance to try again." Silence enveloped them, heavy yet breakable. Jake felt it swell as the memory of a broken family pressed against his heart like a stone. Maybe, just maybe, there was more to uncover beneath the surface of his pain, but then a sudden thought stopped him cold. What if you leave again? What if this is just another way for you to escape? Samantha reached across the table, her hand hovering near his. I won't. I swear to you. Jake could only stare, caught in her gaze, the familiar depths shining through the uncertainty. He sighed, conflicted. There was so much at stake. A distant shout startled them, pulling Jake's focus back to reality. He swiveled to see Emily standing alone. She had turned from the painting and was now watching them, her small face painted with confusion. Daddy, she called, are you coming? Jake's heart clenched as he met her innocent gaze. In that fleeting moment, the decision settled heavily on his shoulders. To shield or to embrace, the two paths weighed equally in his mind. We need to think about this, he said to Samantha, finally breaking away from her eyes. The pain mingled with resolve buried deep within him. Let us figure this out together. But as he stood to join Emily, he felt a fresh wave of doubt washing over him. The past was a stranger he'd learned to live with, but what lay ahead? And facing Samantha, he realized, was he ready to confront not just his past but the possibility of a shared future? Let us take it slow, he said, holding Samantha's gaze one final time. This can't rush. Slow is all I need, she responded softly, hope creeping into her expression. But as they walked towards Emily, the shadows of the past pressed close behind them. Would this attempt to rekindle their family prove healing, or would it bring more heartache? And deep down, Jake knew sometimes, love demands the bravest leap of faith. Jake felt the warmth of Emily's small hand as she linked fingers with him. Her innocent smile lit up her face, and it was as if she held the weight of the world in her tiny frame, completely oblivious to the storm brewing just a few feet away. He kneeled down, drawing close to her. You were amazing with that painting. I saw how you were looking at it. What did you think? Emily's eyes sparkled. It was so bright. I loved the colors. Can we go look at more, Daddy? He nodded, forcing a smile. Of course. Let us go see. As they turned to head back into the gallery, Jake felt Samantha's presence lingering behind them like a shadow. He couldn't shake the thought of what they had just discussed. There was a part of him wrestling with hope, but the other part screamed for caution. The next few minutes felt surreal as he walked around with Emily. She seemed so enchanted, darting from one piece to the next, her laughter ringing like music in the air. Whenever she turned to show him her wonders, Jake's heart ached with the beautiful simplicity of her joy. Every giggle, every exclamation felt like a reminder of everything he wanted to protect. As they approached a vibrant mural splashed across the wall, Emily turned to him, her brow furrowed slightly. Daddy, is that lady over there sad? Her tiny finger pointed straight at Samantha. Jake's breath caught in his throat. He glanced over at Samantha, who was standing at a distance, her eyes glimmering with unshed tears. A lump formed in Jake's throat as he realized Emily sensed some kind of emotional turbulence that was unmistakable, even to a child. No, sweetie, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. She's just having a moment. Sometimes, grown-ups feel big feelings, but it's okay. Are you sad too? Emily asked, tilting her head in that innocent way only a child could manage. Jake knelt to Emily's level. I'm okay, honey. Just thinking a lot. Her eyes searched his. You love her, don't you? Caught, Jake hesitated. How did she know? The realization struck him hard. Emily had seen things he thought she was too young to understand. I don't know, he finally said, feeling the weight of those words settle like stones in his heart. It's complicated. Emily sighed with the wisdom of someone far older. You should tell her. She's your friend, and friends shouldn't feel sad. Her simple wisdom is what he loved most about her. It was a reminder of innocence that made his heart swell, even as it broke. The thought of reconciling with Samantha felt impossible yet necessary. As conversations bounced around them, he watched Samantha attempt to compose herself, a false smile plastered across her face as she mingled with the crowd. Jake could see her pain, the conflict of wanting to connect with Emily while still wrestling with her own inner demons. Emily grabbed his hand tightly, pulling him toward Samantha. "Come on, Daddy. Let us go talk to her." Before Jake could think to pull back, Emily was already leading him forward. Hey, Sam," he began, feeling exposed. Samantha looked up, her eyes glistening. "Hey, Emily. What have you been looking at?" Jake stood back, watching their interaction unfold. The instinct to protect surged within him, the urge to monitor every exchange, to shield Emily from any heartbreak. But as he observed the way they connected, the tentative hesitance growing into something warmer, Jake felt a flicker of a different kind of hope. Maybe this was the beginning of something. "Daddy, can we go?" Emily asked, breaking him from his thoughts. "Sure," he replied, forcing a smile. As they turned to leave the gallery, a soft voice tugged at him. "Wait, Jake." Samantha stood there, battle-worn but determined. "Can we really start fresh? I want to meet her, to be part of your lives again." Jake hesitated. The question hung heavy in the air. Could he really allow this? Could he risk his heart and Emily's future again? He didn't have the answers, but in that moment, as he looked at Emily's expectant face and Samantha's hopeful gaze, he knew that this journey was just beginning. Could they weave together a new story, despite the tapestry of hurt that lay before them? With a deep breath, Jake finally spoke. "Then let us find a way together." But what would that really mean for their little family? The uncertainty wrapped around him, as he realized sometimes new beginnings come hand in hand with old wounds. Jake felt the weight of Samantha's gaze pressing on him like a heavy fog. Her expression was a mix of determination and fragility, and he desperately wanted to protect both her and Emily. He could feel Emily still holding his hand, her eager energy a stark contrast to the tangled emotions swirling between the adults. "Can we talk?" Samantha's voice broke through the tension, quiet yet firm. "Just us, for a moment?" Jake hesitated. He looked down at Emily, who was curiously peeking at Samantha. "What about the paintings?" he asked, trying to hold on to the brief burst of joy they'd found in the gallery. Emily bounced on her toes. "Can I look at more, Daddy? Please?" Jake forced a smile, even as his heart battled his mind. "Sure, Em. Just hold tight for 1 second, okay?" He knelt down to her level, his heart heavy. "How about this? You take a look at the other colorful paintings, and I'll be right here. Can you do that?" "Yeah." She beamed, rushing off to the next piece, her laughter trailing behind like music. Samantha waited until Emily was out of earshot. "Jake, I need to apologize, properly. I didn't handle the whole situation well." Her voice wavered, and Jake felt a flicker of hope mixed with a wave of uncertainty. "And I need to be honest," he replied, trying to keep his emotions in check. "You know Emily loves you, right? She thinks of you as family." "I know." Samantha's shoulders slumped slightly. "But I've been so lost, Jake. I thought stepping back would help, but it only made things worse. She shouldn't have to feel caught in the middle of our mess." Jake studied her, his mind racing. "What do you want, Sam?" The question hung in the air, and Samantha looked away, biting her lip. "I want to know if there's a way forward. If we can rebuild this. I miss you both. I miss being with Emily like I used to." Torn, Jake scratched the back of his neck, fighting the urge to just walk away and protect Emily from all this chaos. Yet there was a part of him that couldn't deny the longing in her eyes. "It's not that simple. I mean, we have to figure out what that means. Can you handle it?" "Handle what?" she breathed, her voice almost a whisper. He hesitated before answering. "The reality that you might not just be coming back as a friend. There are old wounds, and... She stepped closer, the distance between them charged with something electric. And what if it gets messy again? He lowered his voice, aware of how close they stood. The faint scent of her perfume brought back a flood of memories he thought he'd buried. Memories of laughter, a warmth that felt both foreign and familiar. "I'm willing to risk it," she said, her voice steady, but Jake could see the tremors of uncertainty in her eyes. "For Emily. For us." Jake's heart raced. Could he really give this another chance? He glanced back at Emily, who was now studying a colorful canvas, her small frame engrossed in the artwork. What if she gets hurt again? He muttered under his breath. Samantha looked past him toward Emily, longing etched on her face. "Then we'll be careful. We can both be careful." Jake felt gratitude wash over him mingled with fear. This battle was more than just about them, it was about Emily, who deserved stability. "Let us take it slow. For her." His voice cracked slightly, betraying the whirlwind of conflicting emotions within. "Slow is good," Samantha agreed softly, a cautious smile beginning to form, just as hope flickered to life. A loud crash echoed through the gallery. Startled, they both turned, just in time to see a group of kids attempting to climb over a display, their laughter ringing out amidst the chaos. Samantha laughed nervously. "Well, there's never a dull moment, is there?" Jake let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "No, there isn't. But it's worth it." As he began to step away, moving back toward Emily, he caught a glimpse of Samantha again, her face illuminating with unspoken emotions. Could they really navigate through this tangled web together? Just then, Emily turned, eyes wide. "Daddy. Look at this one. It's my favorite." Jake's heart swelled. As he moved to join her, he realized this was just the beginning. A new chapter could unfold here, but he felt the heavy uncertainties lingering in the shadows. What if this time, the risks were worth it? But how would they navigate the unseen pitfalls ahead? The sound of Emily's cheerful voice cut through the tense air, and Jake moved toward her, a mix of hope and anxiety swirling in his chest. The gallery was alive with color, and for a moment, he allowed himself to be swept into the vibrancy of their surroundings. He knelt beside Emily, who was pointing excitedly at a bright, swirling canvas. "Look, Daddy. It's so pretty," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. Jake poured his energy into matching her enthusiasm, forgetting the heavy conversation in the back of his mind. "It really is. What do you think it means?" he asked, enjoying the weightlessness of his daughter's joy. Emily put a finger to her chin, pondering deeply. "Maybe it's about a rainbow. Or all the colors of people. Like a big family." A lump formed in Jake's throat. The way she spoke was a raw truth he couldn't ignore. A big family. He exchanged a quick look with Samantha across the room, who was also watching Emily. Her eyes gleamed with emotion, but there was trust in her gaze, trust he was still unsure of. "Daddy." Emily's voice broke through his thoughts again, pulling him back into the moment. "Will you come see more with me?" "Of course." Jake stood up, ruffling her hair as they moved from one piece to the next. With every step, his mind wrestled between the delight in Emily's laughter and the uncertainty of what rebuilding a friendship with Samantha might mean. As they paused in front of another painting, Jake strategically positioned himself so that he could glance back at Samantha without Emily noticing. She was staring at them, her smile tender but with something deeper beneath, a flicker of hope, perhaps? "Is that one your favorite too, Daddy?" Emily asked, bouncing next to him, her innocence shining brightly. "It's beautiful, just like you," he replied, wrapping an arm around her shoulder, and then his heart sank. Was he being unfair? Giving her hope that might never materialize? "Jake." Samantha's voice broke into his thoughts, pulling him back from spiraling uncertainty. "Can we talk again?" Jake's stomach dropped. He looked down at Emily, who was blissfully occupied with examining the surrounding art. "Yeah, let us find a quieter spot," he replied. They moved to a corner of the gallery where the noise of the crowd faded into the background. The air felt heavy, thick with unspoken words. "I know this isn't easy," Samantha began, her voice shaky. But I can't just ignore how I feel. I'm scared, Jake. Scared of muddying things up. Her authenticity hit Jake square in the chest. You think I'm not? He confessed, rubbing the back of his neck again. I want Emily to be safe, to be happy. But what if we make it worse? What if she ends up caught in the crossfire again? Samantha leaned against the wall, her face softening. But what if we don't try? What if we both let fear hold us back? That could hurt her more than trying and failing. He studied her closely, feeling the storm of emotions battling within. I don't want to drag Emily through any more pain. She deserves so much better. I know, Samantha said softly. But isn't the risk worth it? For the chance to create something better for her? A family that isn't perfect, but real? For a moment, silence enveloped them. Jake could hear the murmur of the crowd, the laughter of children. It felt surreal, almost poetic, the chaos of life swirling around them while they stood on the cusp of something big. I want that too, Jake finally admitted, his heart pounding. We need to be careful. But I can't deny what I feel. Just then, Emily appeared at the edge of their conversation, eyes wide. Daddy. Can we go see the giant painting now? It's the biggest one. Jake forced a smile, but he could see Samantha's reaction too, the way her expression brightened, revealing a sincerity that felt contagious. Absolutely, Em. Lead the way. As they moved together, Jake felt the threads of their lives start to weave back together. The uncertainty remained, but in that moment, he could sense the potential for something new blossoming between them, yet, as they approached the giant painting, a sudden wave of apprehension washed over Jake. Could he really let himself trust this process? And what if it all came crashing down like before? The vibrant canvas loomed above them, a mix of colors colliding. In that wild swirl, Jake found himself wondering if he dared to dive into this, what would he truly find on the other side? Before he could voice those fears, Emily gasped, pointing eagerly. Look, Daddy. It's like a magical world. Can we go in over there? But was he brave enough to step inside himself? Would the risk be worth the adventure? Jake's heart raced as he stood at the foot of the giant painting, Emily's small hand gripping his tightly. The colors were magnificent, vibrant swirls that felt alive, beckoning them closer. But the swirling hues reminded him of his own chaotic thoughts, his fears, hopes, and the complicated history with Samantha. Can we really go in there? Emily's voice rang out, her excitement infectious. It's just a painting, sweetheart, he said softly, leaning down to be at her level. But it sure looks magical, doesn't it? Emily nodded enthusiastically, her curls bouncing. Can we pretend? I want to be in the picture with the colors. Jake smiled at her imaginative spirit and glanced at Samantha. Her expression shifted, a mixture of nostalgia and longing as she took in the moment. Despite the tension between them, there was something comforting in the way they both focused on Emily, on the joy she radiated. Let us step closer, Jake suggested, moving toward the canvas. As they approached, he felt the weight of the past pressing down on his shoulders. Could he truly bring Samantha back into their lives? Could they be a big family, as Emily envisioned? Look at that one, Daddy. Emily pointed again, drawing his gaze to a particularly fierce burst of colors, vibrant oranges and blues colliding in a storm of creativity. It looks like a super happy place. That does look happy, he replied, feeling a warmth spread in his chest. It was hard to deny that happiness existed in their midst. Maybe it can be our happy place, huh? Samantha said, her eyes shining, and for a moment, Jake's heart flipped. He caught the vulnerability in her expression, the hope she was trying so hard to convey. Maybe, he said slowly. But it's complicated. I know, she replied, taking a step closer. But we can work through the complications together, right? Jake considered her words, feeling the flicker of a possible future ignite inside him. It was astonishing how easily they could fall back into these small, earnest exchanges, and how desperately he wanted this relationship to flourish not just for them, but for Emily. She deserved more than just a family tethered by past hurts. "Let us talk about this later," he said, feeling the pressure of their situation pressing heavier. "I just want to enjoy today with you and Emily." Her smile softened at his words, a hint of understanding passing between them. Emily clapped her hands, drawing their attention back to her. "Can we go over there next?" "The giant butterflies," she squeaked, racing off without waiting for their answer. "Emily, wait up," Jake called, jogging after her, laughter bubbling in his chest despite the swirling doubt still lingered. There was a freedom in her exuberance that he found contagious. As they left the world of the vibrant canvas behind. As they wandered, he felt a strange mixture of grief and hope. The road back to something resembling a family felt laden with obstacles, yet each step forward brought clarity. Would they really try to create a new narrative, one that included Samantha without the shadows of their past? Jake felt a sudden squeeze on his heart as he watched Emily dart around a sculpture. She paused and turned, her eyes catching his. "Are we going to come back here again? I love it so much." "Of course, Em. We'll come back," he promised, but the words felt like a weight. Could he ensure her happiness? What would that really look like? But as he turned to Samantha, he saw the uncertainty mirrored in her expression. Tension threaded through the air again, the unspoken possibility that stood between them like the distance stretched by their past mistakes. "Let us find a place to sit," he suggested, guiding Emily toward a small cafe corner within the gallery. The warmth of the soft lighting welcomed them like a hug, and Jake knew they needed to pause, breathe, and truly talk. As they settled into a booth, beverages in hand, he glanced at Emily, who was observing the busy gallery with innocent wonder. The happiness she radiated seemed to pulse with a life of its own. "Are we going to make it work, Jake?" Samantha asked softly, her voice rising above the chatter around them, holding a tremor that betrayed the strength she tried to muster. He opened his mouth to respond, only for the words to catch in his throat. Could they truly navigate those unpredictable waters together? Or would they find themselves lost, adrift? And as Emily leaned close, whispering about their happy place, Jake felt the tide of uncertainty swell once more. Could he unveil his heart not just for Samantha, but for the vision of a family that was beginning to take shape? In that moment, the question hung in the air, promising yet daunting. For the first time, everything felt fragile yet full of potential, and Jake had no idea how to move forward, but he knew he couldn't turn back. The canvas was waiting, and so was the adventure. But would they find the courage to paint their future together? Or was it a dream that might slip through their fingers once more? Emily's laughter danced in the air, bright and carefree, momentarily wrapping Jake in a cocoon of hope and joy. It was the kind of laughter that made everything else fade away. He watched her, his heart swelling with a mixture of pride and sadness. The small cafe corner felt warm, filled with the scent of coffee and the sweetness of pastries, yet the weight on his shoulders remained, heavy and unyielding. "Daddy! Look at this!" Emily's excited squeal brought him back to the moment. She held up a colorful paper butterfly she had fashioned from a napkin and a crayon. In her eyes was a spark of creativity that made Jake smile genuinely for the first time that day. "That's amazing, Em. You're a little artist," he praised, his heart clenching with both gratitude and apprehension. "Just like the butterflies. Can we make a real one next time?" she asked, her enthusiasm unabated. "Absolutely," Jake promised, but his thoughts drifted back to Samantha, who sat across from him, watching that radiant connection between father and daughter. There was a flicker of envy in her eyes, unresolved and painful. "Emily, why don't you go look at that sculpture again while Dad and I talk?" Samantha suggested gently, her tone meant to be encouraging. "Okay," Emily replied, bounding away with her paper butterfly flapping in her grasp like a tiny, vibrant flag. As soon as Emily turned the corner, the relative comfort dissolved. Jake clenched his fists around his coffee mug, feeling exposed. "I don't know if we can do this," Jake said, vulnerability creeping into his voice. He wanted to reach out, to hold on to the glimmers of what they had shared, but it felt like gripping smoke. "We have to try," Samantha replied, her eyes earnest, reflecting the very depth of their shared history. "For Emily." We can't just leave it all behind. I just need to understand how it can work, Sam. What if it's just wishful thinking? Samantha leaned in, her expression softening. It's not just about us anymore. It's about Emily, too. We owe it to her to at least try. Jake rubbed his forehead, overwhelmed by the storm of emotions swirling within him. How do we start? It feels like a jigsaw puzzle without all the pieces. Samantha searched his eyes, the tension between them tight yet undeniable, and with a deep breath, she said, "Do you want to know where we failed? We didn't communicate and we didn't share our fears. I'm scared, Jake. Scared of failing again. But I want to at least try." It struck a chord with him. That frustration he had kept bottled up for too long began to spill over. What if we can't meet each other's expectations? Then we make new ones, she replied simply. A quiet strength lined her words, a resolve that he couldn't help but admire. Jake took a deep breath, feeling as if he was standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to jump. I want to believe we can make this work. That we can be a family. But can we really backtrack from where we've been? But as he searched her eyes for answers, he caught sight of Emily peeking around the sculpture, her little face glowing with wonder. She was their true north, their innocent wish for a family woven into every crevice of their struggle. Maybe, he said slowly, we start by just being honest about everything. About what we want, what scares us, the truth. Samantha nodded, a tentative smile breaking through her uncertainty. Let us figure it out together. For her. And as they exchanged tentative hopefuls, the chaos of the gallery faded into the background. In that moment, they were not just two people with a convoluted past, they were two parents, forging a new path for their daughter's future. But as they sat in shared silence, a seed of doubt took root once more. If they chose this path, could they truly find their way past the shadows? Or would the ghosts of their pasts forever linger, threatening to tear them apart again? And meanwhile, in the vibrant gallery, Emily's voice rang out again, filled with a different kind of excitement. Daddy! Come look at this. The call felt like a lifeline. He stood, ready to answer the uncertain yet hopeful future. What awaited when they approached the bright unknown together? Would clarity finally emerge, or would they find more struggles ahead? Jake felt a small wave of calm wash over him as he moved toward the sound of Emily's voice. There she was, standing with her hands clasped behind her back like a performer waiting for the curtain to rise. Her eyes were wide, reflecting an innocent excitement that lit up her face, a light that pierced through the chaos of emotions swirling within him. Daddy! Look! She called again, her finger pointing at a mural that glowed with vibrant colors, a swirling ocean of creativity. It's like the colors are dancing. As Jake stepped closer, his heart softened at the sheer wonder in her voice. She turned to him, waiting for a reaction, and the warmth of her smile slowly melted the heaviness he carried. Wow, Em. You're right. It totally looks like they're dancing. He exclaimed, enthusiasm painting his voice brighter than the mural itself. Emily beamed, and Jake felt a tug of pure joy pulling him back to the moment. In this lively gallery bursting with color and life, it was impossible to ignore the bond they shared. Samantha joined them, and Jake felt a flutter of anxiety ripple through him. Would this moment of happiness fall apart with their unresolved tension hovering in the air? But Emily's vibrant energy seemed to fill the space, wrapping around them like a protective cocoon, innocent and hopeful. I love how it looks like a party. Emily added, her eyes sparkling. Just like our family, Samantha chimed in gently, and Jake noticed how the words felt heavier than intended. He shifted uncomfortably, torn between gratitude for her desire to connect and the nervous fear of what that meant for them. Yeah. A big party. Emily declared, her laughter ringing with a purity that filled Jake's heart with a mix of longing and determination. If only families could be as simple as the love his daughter radiated. Can you give us just a moment? Jake asked quietly. It was hard to look at her and deny the need for an open conversation, free from distractions. Emily nodded, understanding, and took a step back to admire the mural again. Turning to Samantha, Jake took a deep breath. We have to talk about all of this about us, and what it means for Emily. I can't believe we could make this work unless we're honest. Samantha's expression shifted. She looked both relieved and anxious. I want that too, Jake. It's so important for Emily. They walked a few paces away, creating a slight bubble where the noise of the gallery faded into the background. Jake could feel the pulse of shared memories between them, memories that were now marred by pain yet fluttered with possibility. Remember when we talked about the little things? Samantha asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. And how we always wanted to share those quiet moments. Jake nodded, feeling the weight of their shared history course through him. Those small moments had been their foundation, and somehow they had let them slip away, buried under the weight of expectations and fears. I can't let her down again, he admitted, frustration tinging his voice. But if we do try to rebuild that connection, it can't just be for Emily. It has to be for us, too. I agree, Samantha replied, her gaze earnest. But it scares me to think about the possibility of messing up once more. Every step feels so intricate, Jake said, hesitating. What if one misstep sends us back to the beginning? We won't know until we start, Samantha urged, her emotional strength shining through her vulnerability. I want to fight for us, Jake, whatever that looks like. So do I, Jake felt the resolve building within him. This was a turning point, and the chance to redefine their narrative beckoned. It wouldn't come easy, but he was tired of holding back the fire that flickered inside him. Just then, Emily shouted, breaking the tension. Come look. I made a new friend. Jake turned to see his daughter standing excitedly beside another girl, a bright smear of colors on her shirt matching the butterfly she had made earlier. Jake's heart swelled with admiration. It was Emily's gift to connect with those around her naturally, and he felt hopeful that maybe, just maybe, he and Samantha could learn from her. As they approached, Jake glanced at Samantha, who wore a bright smile, and he felt a piece of his heart start to mend, a renewal blossoming between them. Hey, Em. Jake called out, gathering them both near. This is all perfect, just like our big party, isn't it? Let us make the most of today. Emily nodded vigorously, and they joined her as she introduced her new friend. Jake noticed Samantha crouching to engage with the girls, her laughter mixing with their youthful joy, and feeling a warmth spread in his chest for the first time in a long while. Hope seemed less distant. As they played and explored further into the gallery, Jake felt chains of dread falling away. There was still a long road ahead, but perhaps they could piece together a family, rebuilt not on the remnants of pain but on the vibrant colors of love, trust, and resilience. The day lingered as they ventured through vibrant spaces and laughter, the shadows of doubt slowly disappearing with each shared moment. Jake was ready to embrace the chaos because sometimes, amidst the mess, lay the most beautiful art of all. And there was no turning back now. The journey together had just begun. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for more inspiring tales. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.